Welcome back to this week's episode of Unlocked. I am really excited because we have Hannah Brown on. Welcome.
Hi.
Okay, so I feel like we know each other.
But
We've
we
never
don't really, but I feel like we do too. We just like picked up. We're like, hey, so what's going on with your toes? What's going on? Okay, did you find the seamstress in Atlanta? Like, I love it. Yeah.
So first off, I walk in today. I was like 5 minutes late, and the reason being is because, like we said, just had to get 4 new tires on my car. My car wouldn't start. I had to go replace a key battery by myself. It was a day.
I mean, I'm really impressed by it all, though.
When you were in like your single era, you gotta
figure it out.
You gotta figure it out by yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
it's kind of empowering. Like, you changed your key fob today.
Yes,
like,
I did.
Use YouTube. Thank goodness for YouTube.
Thank God.
I mean, that's one thing. Even though I am engaged, Adam is not the most like
handy.
He's not the most handy. And my dad's like super handy. So I was always used to people doing stuff for me. And he'll try, but I'm like,
I know.
Let's just YouTube it together. Let's do it together. So now we just YouTube together.
See, that's great. It gives you something
so I
to
still
do
have
together.
to. I still feel independent. I'm usually the one that's like,
it's so funny. Does he get like upset when you say he's not handy? Oh my gosh. Okay. So when I was engaged to Nick, like we were together 5 years, but he would always try to do stuff. And I'm like, Nick, you are not handy. Yeah. Like the amount of time you spent doing all this for us to still then have to call someone to come and fix it.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, I think we should just learn together, but he's just not really. He'll put things off because I think he just knows he's not that good at it. And he's like, hopefully she won't remember that I asked to like do something. I'm like, trust me, I remember.
Yeah, exactly.
So then, we end up having to like find somebody, but he's into it. It's one of the things, I actually talked about this in therapy. Like I somehow have related like doing projects around the house with like safety and like love in some way, but like that's not his thing.
Well, it's because that's what your dad did.
Yes, but that's not his thing.
Yeah.
And having to learn that that's like okay, but then also for him to realize that is why I want to do it so much.
Yeah.
It's like I think that's going to connect us. He's like, no, it actually just drives me crazy and it's not my thing. So we're trying to find other things that we can do together. We take dance classes together.
That's awesome.
And we'll just have to pay somebody else. To
fix things.
We'll do the cha-cha while they're like fixing all the things in the house. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay. So obviously for some people may know you from like Bachelor, Bachelorette, and you did do pageants though.
Yes.
I feel like we may have like run into each other with that at one point.
I knew of you doing pageants at that point. Well, we both, no, because you're in Tennessee.
I was 2016.
And I was 2018.
Yeah.
So, but it's like a small circle, I feel like, of people kind of, when like people are like when the Miss Tennessee pageant's coming out. So like, it's a whole little circuit.
It is.
So, yeah.
It is. And then you went on, did you go on The Bachelor first? Yeah, you went on The Bachelor first. Okay. And that was Colton season.
Yeah, like I was still Miss Alabama USA when I went on the show.
That is crazy.
So it was, so I went straight from doing Miss USA, like a few months later, was on The Bachelor, and then everything else followed. Yeah.
Okay. So on The Bachelor, I had Colton on my podcast.
Wait, yeah, because y'all like went on a date or something.
We did.
That is hilarious.
We did before he was The Bachelor. And I knew he was gay. I literally, like, and I say this now for people that haven't listened to that podcast, go back and listen to it because it was the most playful, fun podcast like ever. So anything I say about him being gay, like we talked about it, we joked about it, love him to death. But I told him, I was like, Colton, he went with me to the ACM Awards. And I just, from like the moment we met, I was like, okay.
Something's up.
Yeah, he was like, and so that night I was like, one of my makeup artists and like best friends, Emily, was with me. And Emily Jemison, do you know her? She was like big in the pageant world for a little while.
I would have to see like a picture.
Okay.
I'm way better with like face recognition than names.
I'm kind of the same way. So Emily was with me, and I finally was just like, you know what? After the AC Awards, I was like, I'm really not feeling good. I'm so sorry. Like, I gotta go to my room. And I went to another hotel and hung out with all my friends.
Oh my gosh.
And ditched him and left him with her.
How did you even meet him?
I think like social media or something.
Because he's really cute. Like that was,
exactly.
He was like the all-American like dream. Like
yes.
It was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, okay. He obviously like has a background in sports. He's a philanthropist. He's really cute. He just seemed, I was like, I want to be with this guy.
Yeah.
But it is funny. I had the first date with him on our season. And because the first night, I mean, you're not really getting to know the person at all. Like it's, you get like
you're up till the wee hours of the morning and you get 10 minutes with someone.
Yeah. Like I didn't know too much then, but I did think he was different than I expected. But on the first day, and I joked, I had him on my podcast as well. And we joked about it because like it all made sense. But also you're like, I'm on the show. Like I'm not going to question somebody's
sexuality
when he is the Bachelor. Like he's here to like find love with women. And so I'm like, okay. But I was like, I don't know if you remember this, Colton, but we were in a hot tub in the middle of nowhere, which is just typical Bachelor.
Yeah.
But we were getting out of the hot tub, and I remember, like, this is just like my first sign of being like, something's up. They were like, okay, go to your separate, like, to have your separate interviews, ITMs. And I was like getting out, and we obviously were barefoot, and I step up, and he goes, wait, I need shoes. I just got a pedicure yesterday. And I was like, I have a pedicure too, Colton. I was like, if I can walk a few feet, so can you. And he was like, no. And then and I'm like, okay, it's so funny. But I'm thinking, you know, I've only known this guy literally 2 days, and all I have from him is like super like football player, like macho, just not like what I thought. And of course, these are all stereotypes, but it was just really funny. I was like, huh. And then later on the night, you know, we get dressed up for dinner, and I'm wearing like some shoes, and he was like, oh my gosh, are those Stuart Weitzman? And I was like, oh, yes, they are. Like, he's like, I love their boots. And I'm like, me too. And then I'm like, wait, this is not the conversation I thought we're supposed to be having right now.
That is so Colton.
They told us, they were like, yeah, he's really, like, whoever's with Colton, like, he loves to shop. And I'm like, well, I love to shop. Like, this will be great. But it was just so funny. It's like, all these things, like, now have more of a context of why. But I told him too, I'm like, I kind of like you better gay. Like, this is so fun.
Exactly. Like I could never date you, but like I love you could be my gay best friend.
But it's so cool to see somebody kind of just living more like their authentic
100%.
life and seeing that. And obviously, you know, like with being on TV shows, like he was also like there was a role that he was playing.
That's what I say is it's so hard because he was already confused, conflicted, just trying to figure out who he was. And that's what I say, like being on TV for 10 years, there's a role you have to play that someone puts you in, and you don't really get to decide if that's your role or not.
So I had that on that like other level of like how my relationship with him was and how I knew him. So when I've seen him like a few times since all that, and him, you know, now that he's married, and it's just like so cool to like have really genuine conversations with somebody when like you see that they're like authentically, for the first time in a long time, being able to be themselves and how they show up. So
exactly,
it's cool. But I think that is really funny.
It was really funny because he looked at me and he was like, "Girl, I would have ditched me too." And I was like, "This is great." I was like, "Yeah, I went and hung out with like all my friends at another hotel. I had a blast."
That is so funny.
Yeah, it was absolutely hysterical. And I remember Emily, I was like, he's gay, and Emily was like, she got onto me. She was like, "Stop assuming things. Like, no, he's not. Whatever." And it was just hysterical because the moment like the first article hit that he was gay,
I knew it.
I sent it to her and I was like, I told you so. This episode of Unlocked is brought to you by BetterHelp. You guys know I've spoken about BetterHelp time and time and time again, and that's because I am a firm believer in their product. I mean, BetterHelp is absolutely amazing, and it's all online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you do is just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. I don't know about you, but 2024 has started off off with quite a bang. And for me, being a single parent, single income household, trying to deal with finances, kids, my own personal mental health, it's all been a huge challenge. I am not going to lie. And that is where therapy and BetterHelp has come into play, because I have started to realize that if I am not my best self possible, then how in the heck am I going to be able to operate? So that's where I turn to BetterHelp. You can visit betterhelp.com/Savannah today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Savannah. For those that don't know, Nurex is a digital healthcare platform that makes it easy to get the expert healthcare you deserve at every step of your journey. They know that everyone is different, so Nurex provides treatment and care that's personalized to you. Through life's changes and transitions, Nurex is here to help you make informed choices about your health, with care offerings like birth control, anti-aging, prescription skincare, and treatment for common mental health concerns, all tailored to your unique health history and goals. Their experts are here to help you. Nurex's licensed medical providers possess in-depth knowledge and expertise in a range of common health concerns, helping patients to find the right treatment options based on their preferences and health history. No more one-size-fits-all approach, only effective tailor-made solutions. A care model designed to grow with women, from birth control to wrinkles, dark spot treatments, you name it. Nurex understands women's healthcare journeys are unique and ever-changing. That's why Nurex's care model provides comprehensive treatment options specific for women so that they can receive ongoing, high-quality, integrated care all in one place. Their medical team is there to help with a wide range of reproductive and sexual health care needs. To date, Nurex has delivered birth control to more than 1.6 million patients in the U.S. It's convenient, private, and compassionate. Nurex provides reliable reproductive and sexual health care that's accessible right from your home. No judgment or stigma attached. Thanks to Nurex for sponsoring this podcast. Taking control of your reproductive health starts here. Go to nurex.com/unlocked to get started. That's NURX.com/unlocked. Results may vary. Not offered in every state. Medications prescribed only if clinically appropriate. Consultation required. So I guess when I ditched Colton at the hotel, my parents were there too. But like I said, we were in Vegas. So I was like, peace out, like going and hanging out. I remember I went and hung out with like Jaco and like all these musicians. Like we just had the best time.
And you ditched him in his hotel room.
Yes, I ditched him in his hotel room. And Emily wanted to kill me. And my dad was like, Colton, I'm so sorry. Like, I just don't think my daughter's ready for a guy like you. And Colton goes, sir, let me tell you. I don't think I'm ready for your daughter.
But
just
it all like when it
sense.
came out, all the girls were like, checks out. Like in a way, like we all made out with him for sure.
Yeah.
Like all were like, I think I want to marry him. We're thinking that at the time. But we're all like, yep, like
makes sense.
This makes sense.
Do you remember where you were when you like heard it first?
I was at my parents' house. I'm pretty sure I was with my parents, and I was like, Colton's about to be on Good Morning America. Like, what is this what is he going on here to talk about? But I remember going, I bet he's going to say he's gay.
Really?
So like,
you knew.
I knew it. But then I'm like, there's just been enough time. And actually when I was the Bachelorette, I had conversations with obviously the producers, but they were in the same thing of like, no, he's like with somebody. Like there was always like a question.
Yeah, for sure.
Just like there was like I don't know how you can pick up that. Like I guess a gaydar is a real thing. But look, my parents have cosmetology schools. Okay. So I always grew up with like all different kinds around me, and I like have always like I love the gay men in my life. I'll just say that. I love the gay men in my life.
Me too.
And so like, I like always feel like I'm like attracted. That's who I want to hang out with. So, I mean,
that's hilarious.
It's just funny, but yeah.
So then Bachelorette.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
I mean, I'm so grateful for it. I really am. And I always have to say that. I mean, and I genuinely mean that. But it was tough. Like being a contestant, when people like will come to me like, when maybe they've been, they're auditioning or have been approached in some way. I'm like, being a contestant on The Bachelor was so fun. Like it just was. That was the first time I had really gotten the opportunity to travel in my life. And I really had never done therapy, and nobody really asked me about my life before, which, we've worked on that maybe that wasn't the best, the safest place to be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to trust you and tell you my whole life story.
Yeah.
But it felt like I love that. It made me really like get to know myself in a really cool way. And so it was fun, and like all these different girls that you get to meet. And then of course, like you're in this supercharged relationship that just ultimately, whether it works out or not, you learn a lot about yourself. So fun. Being the Bachelorette is really hard because it's a job.
Yeah.
And I don't think people really realize that, or even sometimes the contestants or the people, contestants, but like the other, like the men from my experience that were on there, like there's still a role that you're playing. And I had a hard time because I say like I was just coming into myself and to really being able to show up in that more authentic way. And I got a lot of that from being on,
because you have to take that barrier down.
Yeah.
Like you just have to show up completely bare and ready to take it on.
And then be able to have some of the most intimate parts of our life is our relationships then on displayed for millions of people.
Oh yeah.
And I really struggled with, like, people thought of me as like this like confident badass that like, I think people like really liked that about me in parts of my season, but I was really like insecure about, I didn't really fit the mold of what the Bachelorettes had been in the past. Like I'm kind of goofy and weird and say things that are silly and don't always like come out perfectly. And what I'd seen, I was like, I don't know if I like really fit this. And then one thing that people don't realize too sometimes is like the cast of the show is picked out before they know who the lead is. So these guys,
which is crazy.
So these guys don't really know who they're going there for. I know that you get asked like, who would you want to be the lead? Who do you want to date? Like they get asked that, but they don't really know. So that really got into my head. Like once I became the Bachelor, I'm like, oh my gosh, these guys might be really disappointed it's me. So I had a lot that I was like working through on my own. And then it's just an exhausting experience. Like
emotionally, physically, all the things.
I had bronchitis for 5 weeks. I ended up in the hospital and I had to still go to a date the next day. Like it was really, really like physically tough. And then emotionally, you're cut off from like everyone who actually like knows you to
give you advice and
these really like these big life decisions.
Yeah.
And so it was really tough, but also I'm so grateful for it. I really am.
How did your season end?
I got engaged. I'm interested to know where my short engagement like ends. Like where is it on the list of the shortest engagements ever in Bachelor? It could be number one.
Okay.
I did get engaged. Really tough though. Like who
were you engaged to?
Jed.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. Got it.
But I had a hard time. I was really conflicted. I wasn't ready to make a decision to get engaged.
Yeah.
Like I still had feelings for like 30 guys, and I'm like, you don't realize, like you literally have, even between like the last 3 guys, you like dump somebody. And then you have 2 days to then get engaged, but you're gonna have to dump somebody else on the same day you get engaged.
That's wild. Which
is not like, how do you really show up for like a really hard decision or like supposed to be like one of the best decisions? It's just a very interesting.
Has there ever been a time to where you kind of resented the show for taking such a special moment away?
Look, I knew what I signed up for. I knew the goal is to get engaged at the end. I think I think everyone that's been on that show, it like ebbs and flows of like where you're at with everything and processing kind of what your experience was like, I really am in a place where I'm so grateful for it because I learned so much about myself, and I wouldn't be in the relationship I'm in now had I not had to go through probably some of that heartbreak and really like realizing, you know, why I made the decisions that I even made during that time. So yeah, there have been moments where I've had a harder time, and I did like step away from the show a lot. I stepped away from everyone though. That's kind of I'm very avoidant. When I was really struggling after the show, like I close off. Like I bought or started renting an apartment in LA. I went home for like 2 days after all just the mess of my season, like, and then had a producer from the show find me a place to live. And then I went straight back to LA. Like I didn't talk to like my family, my friends. I really just stayed to myself. And it was a really hard season of my life because I didn't know who to trust. I didn't trust myself. There was a lot that went into that. But then like at the time I wasn't like resentful of the show because like that was all you knew, I knew. So like I was just hanging out with my producers, and I think there's some great people that are producers, but they also have a job.
That's one thing I will never forget. My parents telling us, like, the moment you realize that they don't really care about you, sure, they may say that they do, but like they need what they need. They need that footage. So they can tell you they love you all they want, but their job comes first.
And I didn't fully
being
know
from
that.
the South and being, you just like, oh, I love you so much. Like you just expect the best out of everyone.
Yes. Yeah, totally. And I also like, I do think they're not bad people. Yeah. And I do think they cared for me in that season, but there was always a motive that like, if it was my job too, I would be really good friends with the lead or the people that are helping me put food on the table. Like it makes sense. Like like
you don't hold any
I genuinely don't.
They had a family to feed too, but it's just the moment you've realized that it's a lot easier.
Yes. So it has been such a process of healing and getting to the place where I can be like, I think for a while I couldn't see anything because I was just so blinded. But then saw all the bad, and now I can really, it's a cool place to be able to be like, look, that was their job. I'm really grateful for X, Y, and Z though. And, but that has been a process to get there.
What a process. And then you went on Special Forces. Yes. We both did Special Forces.
I want to know your experience on that.
Okay. So you tell me if you feel the same. I was just in such a crazy, like my parents had just left in January. And then I left in like May or June, and I didn't have, like, my grandparents are older. So for me they're like in their 70s. So for me to leave and go all the way across the world to do a show and not have a phone to like check on 2 kids and not like all of that gave me so much anxiety. So I already had that. And then I was like, if they would like dangle some more money in my face, like I would have stayed till the end. But you don't get paid. That's what people don't realize. Like there is no winning prize at the end.
No, it's
like
not.
So, but for me, I was like, mentally, I could have stayed if they would have said like, hey, there's a jackpot of $500,000 at the end. I would have let you beat me for that. Like, you know.
I know. Well, so when I first got there and I like saw the people that were there, I was like, what? Like, I'm not an Olympian. I'm not like an ex-athlete. Like, how am I going to do this?
And you won.
And I won, but I was freaking out. And I remember the last phone call I had with my fiance, Adam, he was like, look, you got to think of it. Like, every day you stay, you're actually getting a pay cut. I was like, you're right. So it's like, so if you just need to tap out the first day, you're actually doing better. I was like, that's good. But for me, like, I can totally see why you were like, this ready to leave when you left. You had a lot of responsibility that like I I don't know what I would do if I was in that same
Yeah.
situation with everything going on. And it's really tough. And you're like,
the lack of food. Dude, when they handed me basically like chicken and water, I was like,
did y'all have the oatmeal that tasted horrible?
all of it. I was like, I'm gagging. And then like they didn't give me my medication that I needed. They like withheld it knowing
Yes.
that I had been like, I need this. That's why I puked going down the dam.
Was it because of the medication stuff?
Because they didn't give it to me. So my acid reflux was so bad. And literally, like,
That was the best shot, though. That was hilarious.
I literally said, too, as I landed, I said, these assholes are going to use that for a promo. And they did. And Robert Ory, I'll never forget, like this 7-foot-something guy is like, oh, she's puking. And I was like, yep, I did.
So it was such a cool experience, though. Like, are you grateful you did it?
I am very grateful I did it. I wish they would do like a season of people from all different seasons, like do kind of like a redo from
Would you
people.
do it?
I would do it.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly. Like
I would
just do
too.
a redo of people from all different seasons, kind of like a reunion type show.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I would do it all over again.
I honestly,
And I wish I was in your environment because you were in hot. You were in hot.
I couldn't have done the cold.
Oh, and we were like getting in that
couldn't have done it.
lake that they carved out a hole in, and then you have to put on like you're wet.
I
And the
don't do
boots
well
were
with the
wet,
cold.
And no, like you had to have wet boots, wet socks. I was like, I'm freezing. The moment my nipples start hurting, I am out. Like I am out.
I would be such a baby. Like, I hate the cold here in Nashville. Like, I'm like, this is too much for me. I would not be okay. But I also I never say it right over nods, where I don't get circulation in my hands and my feet. So like, I legitimately couldn't do it. I don't think. Like, my extremities would have fallen off, I think. So that sucks for y'all. But it's just totally different. Like, the heat was horrible because you're like in 124-degree heat at all times. Like, there was sweat coming off my fingertips.
Oh,
Like, it was disgusting. But I also was on a medication that was making me sweat even more. So that's why I was sweating from it. Like, I've never had to like wring my hands out and like water's coming off your hands. I was like, nobody touched me.
No one touched me.
I'm so gross.
Who would you say was your favorite person from your season of Special Forces?
I mean, the person that like made me laugh the most, and I think you need that, was Mel B.
Okay.
I love her so much. And also Dwight Howard. Like, Dwight sometimes got us in trouble though. So I would be like, please don't get me in trouble. I can't do anymore. I cannot run anymore.
Trouble. And then who would you say was the least pleasant person?
I had a good experience with everyone. I will say that. And I don't want to even say least pleasant, but for me, because he was Mike, I love Piazza. I never say his.
Who is that?
Is that it? Piazza? I never.
He
was a legendary baseball player.
Okay.
I love him so much. Like, we're all really close. But he would drive me crazy, and he would always be like, all right, guys, let's do this. We can do this. All right, everybody. And he would get so stressed. He'd be like, everybody calm down. And I was like, Mike, you need to calm down.
Yes.
And he'd be like, oh my gosh, you and my wife could have so much to talk about. She's always getting on to me. I'm like, God bless your wife. Like, we would get like, that knew, is hilarious. But I love him so much.
Yeah, I know. I look at my season and
who for you?
Oh, okay. JoJo Siwa. Love her to death.
I do
love her
too,
to death.
yeah.
But the whole time I'm like, dude, do you ever stop smiling? Like, why are you sitting here acting like we're at the 4 seasons and we've got 5-star meals and we're just being treated great? Like, she was just always, it was like she had like, I don't even know.
You're like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, literally. And like, she was always just like on it. I was like, you're amazing.
Yeah.
Like, love her to death.
But we're on different levels right now.
Yeah.
And I need you to like take it down just one notch.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And then my season was such a season of just like so many crazy different people. Who
Tom.
was, dude, Tom. Like, even in the show, they caught me being like, what the hell are you doing, Tom? Like, and at night, I didn't even, because, everyone just wants to sleep.
It is crazy how close you get to these like really random people.
Yes.
You're like, how am I shitting next to JoJo Siwa and Tom Scandival? I don't even know what is that how you say his real name?
No, Sandoval. They call him Scandival.
Okay, well, that's all I know.
Scandals.
Okay, so Sandoval. Like, you're like, how is this my life right now?
Literally.
But,
no, yeah. Tom would, like, during the show, like, at night, he put on the headlamp. All the lights are out. And he goes to the med thing and starts wrapping his fingers. And I finally said, Tom, lay it the hell down and stop with the damn arts and crafts. Like, enough.
oh my God.
It was wild. And then they would like keep the fire going and you'd be like sweating in there. And I was like, guys. And then I had Robert Ory right next to me. Sweetest human being ever. Like NBA Hall of Famer, legend. He's like 7-something feet tall. So obviously he didn't even fit on the cot. And then every time he would move, it would just creak. And I was like,
the first night I didn't sleep at all.
Yeah.
Because of there's like, 16 people in there. And one guy was freaking, I don't even know, I still don't know who was snoring, but there was somebody snoring and the cot is horrible. And did they give you we had a sand pillow because it was literally just dirt was all over it.
Yeah.
This tiny little pillow.
Yep. We would have to roll up like our clothes and stuff.
Yeah, it was horrible. But we're also sweating to death. I'm walking around basically naked in front of everybody because I'm like, I'm
hot.
I've sweat through my clothes already 14 times today and I just can't do this anymore. But like it was hell.
It was. And
it
then
was hell.
Who was the girl that was on American Pie?
Oh gosh, bless her heart.
What was her name?
Tara
Reid.
Dude,
First off, she smuggled in so many cigarettes, so many packs of cigarettes. I'm like, how do you even do that with the size of your body? Like, and then she snored so loud out of anyone. And we're all like, how the hell does that come from her body? And then one night we're laying in bed. It is dead silent, right? Dead silent. And she goes, guys, I think some of us use the same lawyer. And we're like, what? Like, where does that come from?
Like, it's like you're asleep.
Yeah. Like, what? We all were like, what just happened? Like, that whole show. And then it was funny because at one point, like you said, you're like going and shitting next to people. Yeah. You're like, what? And they always made us.
Could you go?
No.
It was horrible.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was awful. And they made us have a partner every time we left. And so, of course, Tyler Cameron was my partner.
Oh, no.
And I'm
actually,
like,
you're fine.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, this is, so you're telling me I have to like go and shit in front of Tyler Cameron or like, and then we like had to go take showers. And so like Tyler was my partner and I'm over here like, like try, with my back towards him, but then I'm like looking over my head and I'm like, oh, well,
not bad. Yeah.
Not bad. So that whole thing was just, and now you're on his new show, right?
Yes.
How did that come about? This episode of Unlocked is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Let's face it, sometimes multitasking can be, overwhelming. Like when your favorite podcast is playing and the person next to you is talking and your car fan is blasting, all while you're trying to find the perfect parking spot. But then again, sometimes multitasking is easy, like quoting with Progressive Insurance. They do the hard work of comparing rates so you can find a great rate that always works for you, even if it's not with them. Give their nifty comparison tool a try, and you might just find getting the rate and coverage you deserve is easy. All you need to do is visit Progressive's website to get a quote with all the coverages you want, like comprehensive and collision coverage or personal injury protection. Then you'll see Progressive's direct rate, and their tool will provide options from other companies all lined up and ready to compare, so it's simple to choose the rate and coverages that you like. Press play on comparing auto rates. Quote at progressive.com and join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance insurance company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Yeah, his show just launched.
Okay.
But we shot this last year. And yeah, he called me and asked if I wanted to be a part of the show, which was interesting because like we hadn't talked in a while.
Yeah, because I mean, you did date. I don't want to, like a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, we had a very complicated relationship. It's like,
well, because there was so much trauma.
There's so much trauma.
So, and I feel like it's so easy to trauma bond. Like whether it was you were in your era, he was in his mom, like there was a lot.
There was a lot, totally. And so it was, a hard season for both of us. But yeah, there's a lot of.
So this was after you guys like dated or hung out, or the show filmed after that, or what did it film before that?
This show that his show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is I've been with my fiance for 3 years, so it's been a while.
That long? Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like the pandemic threw everything off.
Totally. So yeah, it was a time warp for sure.
Yeah.
But in that time warp, I met my fiance, and we've been together for like 3 years now. So, us joining back to this project together, it was fun. Like so much time has passed. Like I have fully moved on, and he has too. So, and we both have he is in construction. I actually did interior decorating before Bachelor, Bachelorette. So it was fun to be able to do that.
That's awesome.
In this way. So it was great. And hey, hanging out in Florida for a few days is always nice.
Exactly.
I love the sunshine and being there. So it was really fun. Well, I think we both just try to support each other. And
that's awesome. Good for you. That's what I say. Like adult relationships are tough.
Yeah.
That you've truly lived in an adult relationship when you can like come back around and either like apologize for faults or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And like you can still be friendly to each other.
Yeah, totally. So
how did you meet Adam?
So we met on a dating app.
Okay, well, whatever dating app you met on, I'm telling you, dating apps have paid for weddings before.
Hey, I would love that. We are a beautiful love story, I will say.
That is wild that it actually I say it's wild. I mean, I met my boyfriend on Instagram, so it's kind of
the same thing.
A dating app.
Yeah. I mean, heck, I went on when people are like,
let me ask you.
Yeah.
How did you just come off the Bachelorette, a few years, and you're like, oh, I can go on a dating app, like a normal dating app?
Yeah,
did people actually believe it was you?
No, there was a lot of people that were like,
this fake profile.
Yeah, all the messages were quite interesting. I wasn't on it for long though. Like I got very lucky with like the dating scene using the app because I met Adam very quickly. But I'm trying to think of how I can say this.
Oh God.
So I was just like finally done with I'm trying to think of how to say this.
This is amazing.
I stood up basically. And after just going, like, it was a very interesting relationship, whatever it was. And I was finally like, my friend came to me and was like, she actually came to me where I got stood up and she was like, all right, we're done with this. And I was like, I think we're done with this too.
Yeah.
And, she was like, she had just broken up with her boyfriend and they had booked a trip to Cabo, but obviously he wasn't going to Cabo anymore. Yeah. She's like, I'm booking you a flight to Cabo. You're coming with me and we're just setting you up on a dating app right now. So this dating app, normal dating app, so you can just sign up for it. And she made me a profile and was like, this will just be fun.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Get your mind off of it.
And like, yeah, you're going to get some of these things, but I think it'll just be good to get your mind off of it and just start. So it was fun because I had her, and then I was like, well, I'm going to make content out of this. Like, this is going to be great. So I started making YouTube videos going on, like, I only got to go on like 3 dates. But I was mad when I met Adam because I was like, this is freaking good content. Because I would like like talk about the date while I was getting ready. I would go into the bathroom on the date with the guy.
You would not.
And I would like recap everything that was happening. Sometimes pull my phone out while we were doing stuff.
That is hilarious.
It was great. I only got like 2 videos out of it.
I say that all the time though, because some of the people you meet, like there was a guy I met on there and I call him like Mr. Wall Street because he is a big Wall Street guy. And then there was like another guy who said he was a restaurant owner. Really? He was like the assistant manager. No shade there, but don't lie to me and tell me that you own a restaurant and really you're an assistant manager.
Yeah.
And like some of these stories were
amazing.
Wild. I was like, how does this even happen? And then one guy messaged me and was like, you look like he said, you look like you could either be the sweetest person in the world or an absolute nightmare. Would love to see which it is. And I was like, what?
What did you say back to that?
I didn't respond. I was
hilarious.
like, this is like, what? Yeah. So, okay. So when did you and Adam, your first date, you were pissed off.
I was just like, so anyway, I started the whole thing and I saw Adam's profile come up and I was actually the one that liked it first. So ladies, like you got to just like at least go like it.
Exactly. I messaged my guy first.
Yes. Yeah. And I just liked the photo, but he messaged right back and it's really sweet. So obviously we're on this dating app, like people from all over, are on there, but I saw his profile, his pictures, and one of them was on a street. He was on a skateboard that I had a picture on my profile, like on a biking.
That's
and
crazy.
It was actually the street that I lived on. So I liked that picture because I was like, okay, like if he talks back, I can say something about this. And his response back was, hey, you're in my hood. And because he like my neighborhood or something, because the picture that he responded back to was me on the bike.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, that's the street I live on. We lived 3 doors down from each other.
You are lying.
It was crazy.
That is crazy.
So it's like,
that is awesome.
Yeah. So it was fun. And then he immediately, we didn't do the whole back and forth for a long time. I don't have time for that. Like ask me on a date or I'm not having another.
I'm not being pen pals.
Yeah. Wait, I don't even answer my texts anyway. Like I'm not going to answer messages on this dating app. So great. But I still I was in a season, like I signed up for this app to get like fully move on from like past stuff. And so I just wasn't taking it that serious. I was like, this is great content. But then we set up to meet at drinks at like a local place because we lived close to each other. And I rode my bike there. I had like no makeup on. I wore a beanie and a sweatshirt. Like I just didn't care. And like he looked cute on his profile, but like when I saw him in person, I remember I saw him like through like the fit. I was like, oh shit. And I remember I take off my beanie and I like pull up my phone. I'm like, oh my God, I look horrible. And I was like, ain't that cool? I'd changed the time like 3 times and asked to push it up earlier and then was like late for it. And
sounds related.
I was like, oh my gosh. And I walk in and he even like says, he's like, you were just like so frantic. But he has the most calming energy and he just like seemed amused by me.
But isn't
like
that
in a
so
sweet
funny
way.
That like, I feel like Robert's like the same way. He like the world could be falling apart and he's like as calm as can be. And I'm over here like, no, let's do this. Let's do it. Like,
and then he was just like smiling at me like, what?
Like,
what did I just bring into my life? I'm a little scared, but like I like it. And yeah, we had a great first date. And my other like tip for girls like on the dating app, like do not agree to dinner. You agree to a drink.
Yes.
That can turn into dinner.
Yes.
And we did a drink.
I made
a mistake
one time, and I made one of my friends call me and say there was an emergency. And I got the heck out of there. I sat down. I was only there for 30 minutes.
This is not going to work.
Yeah, this was with the restaurant owner that ended up being a restaurant assistant manager. I was like, nope, out. Can't do this. So your story is wild. You go from Bachelor to Bachelorette to Special Forces to now you're dating app content to meeting Adam to being engaged. And now you've not only do you have your podcast, but now you've like turned into a freaking awesome author.
I'm in my author era, and it's really fun. Yeah, I love it.
You love it. And that's one thing. It's like you have to love what you're doing.
And I really do. I've always been an avid reader, and I've always liked to like write for myself. But all these things that I've done that we've talked about, like I couldn't have dreamt up or been like, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this. I never knew I was going to have the opportunities to do all the things that I've gotten to do. But I've always like, not so secret dream, but like my mom knew like I would want to write a novel one day. Even like writing a book about my life. I've done that. Like I didn't know anybody would want to read about my life. So this has like been like the first like real dream come true that I've had. And it was such an amazing process. It takes a lot of time, but it's fun, and it allows me to really tap into this other creative side of myself.
And you can kind of take, because what's your book title?
It's called Mistakes We Never Made.
And so did you find yourself with that book? Are there pieces within the book that are your life that you maybe didn't have the chance to, or the security to be like, hey, this is what happened to me. And now you're kind of telling it through the lens of someone else, like it's their life?
A little bit. So I feel like you know this, like people have seen parts of me. People have seen parts of you on TV, and they just think it's this one person. And with my book, I was able to like really be like, okay, no, this is actually all that's happened in my life. And so I really got that like full like truth. This is my story. But with this book, when it comes to like the main character, and actually there's a group of best girlfriends in this book. It's a love story, of course, between the main character Emma and Finn, but it's also a love story about this friendship of the core four. And each of the girls in the core four is kind of a part of me that is more or less, would be me if I was more or less in these certain characteristics that I have. And so Emma is the main character, and she's kind of more the like person that feels like she has to have everything together, that she needs to find some control, that kind of that like quintessential like type A person, which I feel like I definitely was in my past more than I'm really experiencing that now. But like doing pageants and just like my childhood, there was a reason I was that way.
Yeah.
And I kind of get to tell the story of Emma and why she was the way that she was, in this beautiful like love story, but also like a journey of her having to come to terms of like, why do I feel the need to intervene in this way? Because in the book, her best friend is a runaway bride, leaves, and she's like, I have to save her from making this horrible mistake. And kind of like, it's kind of the enemies to lovers book, like Finn have had a lot of like almost in their life and made that she calls mistakes.
Also too, Finn is like on my list of baby names.
It's the best name.
I know.
And he's lovable, but there's also like, he's a doofus and a boy who doesn't know how to communicate. And they've had a lot of these moments in the past. And so she's like going on this love story with him to see if they can like take the risk for love, but also she's having to like dive into her past and like really come to terms with why does she feel the need to fix. And so it was really cool. And there's a part of me that like, why did I feel the need to be these certain ways? So like, she is not me. She has a full story, but she is a part of me, and a lot of the feelings and thoughts and are from my own head and things that I struggle with.
I love that. This is going to be, I feel like, the most relatable book.
I think
to a lot of young females.
That's important to me. A romance novel, it's an escape for a lot of people. And we want it to be quick. We want to read it by the pool. We want, a little bit of the steamy, just like romance, it's all there. But it was really important for me to have that character depth that people could really relate to and see themselves in Emma. So I hope that it is also relatable and also just like a fun, fast read.
So Mistakes We Never Made drops today, which is so exciting.
So exciting.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I feel like I could talk to you forever. So.
I seriously was like, oh my gosh, we just started.
I know.
We just need to actually have a proper catch up.
We do, because you live like 10 minutes down the road
Yeah.
for me. So we're getting together, but thank you for coming on.
This was so fun. Thanks for having me.